And then when you get to the shoot, it's really important to just kind of let the celebrity do their thing for a little bit. I mean, they'll come and introduce themselves. Like, I walk them through the clothes. I don't try to push them into like, oh, I think you should wear this, or I think you should wear that. I only pull things I want them to wear. So I don't take anything into, we talked about this yesterday too. I don't take anything to the shoot that I hate. I just don't. Because then I know anything they choose is gonna be okay. And it's the kind of best way to combat like bad taste, is just not to have anything in bad taste there. You know, make sure you have all shoes, all accessories, everything that you like. So no matter what combination ends up happening, you're gonna be okay with it. Yeah, and then, you know, once you get there, it's like, that's why I'm never like, oh, I think you should wear this. If they ask me what my favorite pieces are, I tell them. And sometimes I'll tell them when I get there, oh, these are my favorite pieces. And sometimes I've been with celebrities, and you know, this isn't just, I've worked with A-list, I've worked with some of the best celebrities in the world. I've worked with Julianne Moore and Drew Barrymore, and like Victoria's amazing, and who else is, it's like Brooke Shields and Claire Danes, and worked with Jared Leto and David Beckham, of course. It's like all these amazing people. And usually the more successful they are, the more well-mannered and open they are to listening to what you have to say. It's sometimes the younger celebrities who are new and who are a little more insecure, and like they just have so much more at risk because they're like new. And so they're dealing with their own new business, and you know, like they're suddenly having their picture taken all the time, and like, you know, like I said before, sometimes they walk in and stylists trying to do crazy stuff to them, like, you know, trying to get them naked or trying to put them in really horrible clothes or whatever they're doing. So usually they're just trying to protect themselves, and the younger they are, the more insecure they are, is the harder that they're gonna be to work with. So I just kind of always like show them my favorites. If they ask, kind of put those towards the front, let them walk through the rails, ask them if they want me there, you know, while they walk through the rails, because sometimes they don't. Sometimes they want to do it with their publicists and have their own conversations about it, and I let that happen. I'm like, but I'm not insecure. Like, it's not like I'm not confident. It's just sometimes you have to give people space. Because when you're dealing with celebrities, you're dealing with their identities. Because their identity is what's on the line. Like, our styling career isn't made or broken by those shoots. And sometimes if they're young enough, like, they really care about those images. Because also, it's like we see what happens with the internet now. Those images end up everywhere. And I mean, I did something with a really big star who's kind of a mess, and it ended up all over the internet, like everywhere, like in all the gossip blogs and da-da-da-da. And it's like nobody in fashion even knew it came out. So it's like nothing about my identity was like on the line, but hers, it's like suddenly like, oh, this girl is doing these sexy shoots and da-da-da-da. It was like a huge scandal kind of thing. And it was just like, oh, like and that's what was kind of like, I get it, her. I mean, I took care of her identity. She looked amazing in the pictures, but it was like the whole image and what was going on with her was like a total scandal. So it was like, you're dealing with their identity and your voice and the magazine's voice. And usually celebrities don't know their fashion identity. Like, very rarely. I mean, like, the icons do, right? Like the fashion icons that are celebrities. Like, I feel like, you know, Julianne Moore definitely had it. She knew her stuff, right? She loved YSL, she loved Balenciaga, she loved, you know, we put her in a lot of YSL. She was in some beautiful Calvin Klein. Like, she knew. She has relationships with those designers. She had relationships with Stefano Pilati. But sometimes when you're working with the younger people, and, you know, when you're building your career, you are working with the younger people. That's what you're doing. Like, when I was shooting the portraits for Vogue, I shot like Brooke Shields and Claire Danes and those people, but it was a lot of new people. It was a lot of new actresses, new actors, new musicians, and they're not quite sure yet. You know, so you kind of have to pull it out. I like to do my research ahead of time, which is what we were talking about for your situation. Do your research ahead of time, look at it, do this with them. Look at what they wear, what designers they've worn on red carpet events, and start to see, okay, this is what they like. And sometimes you'll see it and you can't even make any sense out of it. You know, it's just all over the place, and they've just been dressed by whoever, like, their friend was, who was the stylist, and it's a nightmare. And then it's like, that's when it's kind of like, okay, you have to kind of look at their proportions. That's when the body intelligence becomes really important, because with celebrities, the body intelligence and everything is how they look too. Because if they don't have any background on fashion and don't really care necessarily, they just want to look good. And figuring out what their definition of looking good is what the game is as well. So that's really like how I like to work on the magazine level. I think it's about developing a strategy, like we were talking about yesterday. It's like you develop a strategy on how to work with them. I've developed, like what I was talking to you guys, it's like I like to talk to publicists, I have certain questions I ask. That's my strategy for taking care of celebrities for editorial that I've never worked with before. And the process is the same. The conversations and the inspiration that I do is different, but the process is a process I created that's the same, that keeps me from, and I change it every time I have a breakdown and there's something I didn't know. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. So we're gonna change the process to include making sure we take care of that, whatever that breakdown was, whether it was like a size issue or whatever it was.